Good. Getting back here, Christian saying that he wanted to go to a 3-4 with 4-3 spacing. This kind of reminds me of 2005 a little bit. You had 2 first-round picks that year too, and needed defensive help.
Yeah.
Is there flashes of that, and what do you remember about that cycle that can maybe hopefully history repeats itself here?
I don't think it's just as cut and dry as the 3-4 or the 4-3. I think it's multiple. I think Christian's made that really clear. We'll be in 5-man fronts, we'll be in 4-man fronts, we'll be in 3-man fronts, we're multiple, which I think's I think that's appealing in terms of what we want to get accomplished. And I do remember one thing Bill said. He said, I thought it'd take us a couple of years to get to the 3-4 because that's where he wanted to go. And he said somehow we managed to do it in one draft when we got Spears and Canny and Ratliff and Burnett. And anyways, a good crew. And, we were able to make that move. So obviously Ware was part of that, and we moved Ellis to outside backers. So, yeah, there's some flashes of that.
Do you feel like you can do that again in one draft? I know it's not, 3-4 cut and dry. It's multiple, like you said. Do you feel like you can do that in one draft? And feel like
I think we can get the things accomplished we need to personnel-wise, or we wouldn't have gone in this direction, and certainly Christian wouldn't be recommending it if we didn't think we could get the right, personnel to be successful.
Go ahead.
In talking about the personnel, have the talks with Clowney began at all in terms of?
No. We're still, we're going to work through with Christian. A lot of it will happen this coming week in terms of, the type of player. We're going to continue to have those talks, and then we'll make final decisions on, who we think will be, productive in this particular system.
Get back to Christian. How much input will he have on what you're doing in the draft phase, is basically finding players to fit his scheme? And as you talked about, do you have to tailor what you're looking at to fit what he wants to do?
Yeah. I mean, you're always, there's going to be guys who fit that, played really well for us last year. And then there's going to be other guys, who might not be as natural of a fit. And there may be a better player out there, that we may choose to go with. But that's a work in progress.
The investment in, obviously this is a big offseason, what you did on defense. Will the focus on improving the talent on defense, did you give Christian any assurances that we're going to get you players to fit this? We're going to overhaul the talent on this defense?
I mean, he assumes we want to be successful. And obviously, we've been very open that we were not pleased and certainly weren't productive on the defensive side of the ball. And, that we've got to have improvement there. And it's not just a new coaching staff. It's personnel as well.
You guys talked a lot about how Christian was a great teacher, and that was something you were really looking for. These last couple of weeks, as you've gotten to get with him, and even this week now at the Combine, what have you learned about how he evaluates defensive talent and what kind of an evaluator he is?
To be truthful, we've been hiring coaches up until last Friday. So, this is a work in progress. It's probably early. I feel really good about it based on, sitting in on most of the interviews, what he's looking for, how he goes about, picking his coaches. And then certainly, starting last week, we started seeing kind of his evaluation of the guys we currently have on our team and, what type of players he might be looking for that we might not have currently.
Jerry talked about, obviously looking in the mirror and changing. Are you guys moving different, as you say, his approach is off-season, and how you approach free agency? And
no, I think, the biggest thing is, offensively, we're not going to be doing a lot. We feel really good about the offensive side of the ball now that we got Javonte signed and certainly leaning toward franchising Pickens. So, I wouldn't say much of anything's changed offensively. Defensively, we just know we got a lot of work to do.
Yeah. I'm just saying how you approach, though.
I mean, anytime we have a situation where we feel like we're not very good, then I feel like we've always attacked it. Now, there may have been times where we felt like we were good in a situation and we weren't the next year. And so we're wrong. But, this particular time, I think everybody's on the page where we need to improve.
Jerry brought up busting the budget, I think. And I don't know. He's brought up all in. I know we talked about pie in the past. How does busting the budget and being all in work with the pie?
I think, I think he is very driven. I think we're all very driven to really do what we need to do on the defensive side of the ball to get better. And I think if we can do that, we think we can have a great football team. I think you don't have to look any further than the Super Bowl this year. I mean, both those teams are great success stories that probably a lot of people didn't feel like would be in the big game, and they were, and hats off to them. I mean, New England and Seattle, did an amazing job.
They were big spenders of free agency, so you busted the budget.
Well, I think everything's different, Clarence. There's no set situation as to how you go about doing something.
Going back to Javonte Williams, how big was that getting that deal done so early?
I think it's real important. The good news, too, was Javonte was wanting to get it done early, too. I mean, he wanted to be in Dallas. Some representation and some players, want to have more patience and wait. And every situation's different. And certainly that was one where Javonte was really wanting to be a Cowboy. He wanted to be in Dallas. He liked the situation he was in, playing for Coach Schottenheimer. He liked the situation, playing with Dak. Playing with our offensive personnel, he felt like it fit him.
You two were very open about at the end of season press conference saying, hey, we want to bring Javonte back on a multi-year deal. Was there a moment during the year where you said to yourself, or you and Jerry said to yourself, like, yeah, this is a guy that we need to keep around?
Yeah, I think, as the season progressed, I mean, he was just consistently, playing at a high level week in and week out. And, to be candid, I don't think anyone knew for sure he was going to be the guy day one. And until he really, we got to training camp and it started to become obvious pretty quick that he was going to be the lead back.
Any lessons learned from past negotiations you can use in the Pickens situation?
I think every situation's different. I mean, we've been in a lot of different ones. We've had a lot of players that we've franchised over the years, and every situation's different.
What's the hold up? You said we haven't decided the franchise tag, or we haven't done it yet. I mean, what are you waiting on? I guess is that.
Well, we're leaning that direction. Y'all done? Y'all all good? Okay.
Thank you, Stephen.